All right, guys. So I was just on my way out the door to get some coffee, and I got pinged on the Discord that there was an update. So what I'm going to do here is they reworked Count Dooku and Nute Gunray, and I would like to give you my live reaction to these reworks as well as my thought process looking at them. So let's start here. Galaxy Heroes Clone Wars campaign continues with the updated kits for Count Dooku and Nute Gunray. These reworks will provide two very different leaders for your Separatist teams. Count Dooku's tune-up will see him continue to be the countering powerhouse that he's always been, but now is a better chance of leader for the Separatists, no longer relying on General Grievous and the Separatist droids. Nute Gunray's character identity is getting some big changes. Nute Gunray extorts his opposition to fulfill his agenda by forcing his opponents to choose between two bad options. Will you give Nute's extortion for now, or will you pay the price for regular? Interesting. And then they say they're going to be returning the leadership for Nute Gunray, etc., etc. So let's start with Count Dooku on top here. Interesting. Okay, so they're saying that it's droid synergy. Powerful new Separatist leader ability. Row switch from support to attacker. Oh, that's cool. Strong against Galactic Republic faction. Okay, let's see. So he's dark side Sith Separatist attacker and leader. Disciplined Separatist attacker with high damage, counter attacks, and debuff capabilities. Changes are highlighted in green. So it's still the standard 50% chance to attack again, doubled if the target is Galactic Republic. Okay. These attacks have a 50% chance to inflict stun and ability block for one turn and can't be countered or evaded. Well, that's kind of interesting. It helps him against, obviously the Jedi Knight Revan matchup and just any matchup in Jimro where there's Foresight, JTR, stuff like that. I think that's a pretty big change. Anytime it can't be evaded, normally a basic's pretty good. Okay, so Special Force Lightning 1, cooldown 3. Final text. Shock the target enemy, deal special damage, and stun them for one turn. This attack has a 50% chance to shock and stun another random enemy. So they're adding shock to it. I mean, it makes sense thematically. It is literally lightning. Doubled if the target is Galactic Republic. So what they're doing is they're setting him up to be like a Galactic Republic counter, and they're doing that, I think, before they add more Galactic Republic people. Because I think what they're trying to do is give you an option to be the team that's upcoming. That's the first thing that comes to my head here. Special 2 Master of Makashi. I think that's the third form? Fourth form? Someone's gonna correct me. I think Ataro is actually like the third form or something. But Count Dooku dispels all debuffs from himself and gains Repulsed for 2 turns. All non-tank Separatist allies gain 15% turn meter and stealth for 2 turns. Oh, okay. All non-tank Separatist allies gain 15% turn meter and stealth for 2 turns. That is very interesting. So it's sort of a pseudo-taunt in a way. It's forcing them to focus it. That's really interesting because that also makes it where when they attack, they're not going to be able to be countered. So that actually could be a very good thing against Galactic Republic when you have like General Kenobi. It could be great against Jedi Knight Revan because once again General Kenobi. Even decent against Jedi Knight Revan because when you have a Sith Trooper and there's counterattacking into the death marked person, you can do some damage there too. So that's an interesting change. I like that a lot. And the Repulsed attacks out of turn, ignore protection, can't be copied. Wow, that's really interesting. I almost wonder. Would he be good as a non-leader then? Because this here doesn't have anything about him being a leader. It's just non-tank Separatist allies gain 15% turn meter and stealth. So he could probably be good just as a 5th regardless in a Separatist team. Like I have the droid team, right? General Grievous lead, Droidica. But I don't really like Magna Guard or anything, We'll have to see. I don't know. That's just the first thought that comes to my mind. Now let's look at the leadership. Nefarious connection. Separatist allies have plus 35% counter chance and gain 50% tenacity the first time they are stunned or dazed. Whenever an enemy falls below 100% health, they inflict tenacity down and healing immunity for 2 turns on them. Whoa, on themselves? Wait. Whenever an enemy falls below 100% health, they inflict tenacity down and healing immunity for 2 turns on themselves, which can't be evaded or resisted. And all Separatist allies gain 10% off in stacking, max 50%. That is actually really good. This basically makes it where you don't want to AoE the Separatist allies ever because they're all going to pile in. It's kind of like a pseudo CLS lead with some interesting tenacity up and down mechanics. I'm trying to think off the top of my head right now what this is really going to do. Potentially, it's stunned or dazed, okay? So those are the keywords. So they have to be stunned in particular. So this isn't going to be like amazing against Darth Revan because there's not a lot of just flat out stuns. It's all like fear and stuff. There's Malik stun. And the tenacity only happens after that phase. But this will be good against things like, for instance, Traya lead, because when she auto attacks, she applies daze. So she's going to be giving daze to people there. It's going to be good against, let's see, what really relies on stun heavily. Probably CLS teams, because the first thing you're going to do if you're a rebel team is stun somebody right off the bat, and you're going to be giving them 50% tenacity instantly. So maybe things like that could be good. You'd stun them, and then C-3PO and everyone would assist, but they would get resisted because as soon as you stun them, the tenacity comes up. So the first thing that comes to my mind is this is probably a very good leadership against rebels, both because of this move here where he dispels all debuffs on himself and makes everyone stealth, which means the rebels won't be able to counterattack very well. And then in addition, the tenacity up. So that's the first thing that comes to mind. Interesting. I'm not sure if I think this is completely busted or not, if I'm being honest. And it's not particularly good in raids because stun or daze doesn't really apply that often. So it seems okay. It's going to have some niche uses, is the first thing that comes to mind here. The unique, flawless, repulsed, final text, Zeta. I know I'm just butchering that word. But final text, Zeta. Count Dooku is a 100% counter chance. In addition, whenever he attacks outside of his turn, he deals 30% more damage, gains 15% turn meter, and recovers 15% protection. So this is going to be interesting. If he attacks out of his turn, I wonder if that is, and he gets the double attack chance, I wonder if that's going to give him 30% turn meter and 30% protection, because if so, this could be very nuts. And he gains critical hit immunity for 1 turn. So that seems pretty good. The turn meter gain is going to make him somebody who I believe is actually going to be usable now as a 5th. Really what I'm seeing when I'm looking at this entire kit, the first thing that comes to mind is due to the addition of Shock, especially against Galactic Republic. He's got synergy against Galactic Republic, and it can't be evaded. Because of that, it's making me think that potentially he might be a good 5th on a Darth Revan team. Now, maybe not. Maybe I'm overextending. The only reason I'm thinking that is because he might be a good, tool to slot in if you're having trouble dealing with Galactic Republic, or if you're trying to defend against a Padme Heavy Shard, or if you're in Territory Wars and you're trying to attack a Padme team or something. That's kind of just comes to mind off the bat. I think the biggest change out of all of this, though, is this right here. Gains 15% turn meter and recovers 15% protection whenever he attacks outside of his turn. So essentially, he can get up to 30% turn meter if he double attacks. This is almost akin to Yoda's basic attack. And as we've seen in the past, anytime turn meter is on the basic attack, it tends to be pretty good. So I'm going to say this is a pretty successful rework. I'm going to give CG props on this one. I like this. It seems necessary changes like adding the shock, double it if the target's Galactic Republic. I think that's fine. The gaining the turn meter, I think this is fine. I don't think there's anything here that's really busted. I think they did a good job of adding previous mechanics like stealth and stuff to a game that's all about newer mechanics. And I think the leadership is good, and we'll have uses somewhere in the game. I don't think any of this is really busted. But yeah, I'm liking it. Okay, so I'm going to say props on that one, CG. I think you did a good job. So let's look at Nute Gunray now. Nute Gunray, here we go. Dark side support leader, separatist scoundrel. Really? They made him a scoundrel? Okay. Well, that's interesting right off the bat. Strengths. Introduces new separatist faction strategies. Disrupts enemy with extortion ability. Extortion ability forces enemies to buff opposing team. Oh, okay. This is interesting. Changes highlight in green once again. If the target had extortion, this is his basic. Deal physical damage, just standard attack. If the target had extortion, reduce the cooldown of motivate by 1. Okay, so we have yet to see what motivate is. His first special is grant extortion ability to target. And this is a completely new special, basically, completely reworked. So grant the extortion ability to target enemy. If they already had extortion, grant it to the weakest enemy that does not have it. Then inflict speed down on all enemies for 2 turns and deal 20% max health damage to enemies with extortion, which can't be evaded. Wow, okay. Inflict speed down on all enemies for 2 turns, and do 20% to the enemy with extortion. So if you have extortion on multiple people, you're doing like AoE nuke. Okay, interesting. Enemies who use extortion grant profit to allied separatists. Oh my lord. Okay, so I'm gonna need one of those new degrees Arnold got, because I'm gonna try to figure this out here. Extortion, remove extortion, recover 10% health, and grant separatist enemies profit. Okay, so you extort them. They have the extortion. You can remove it, and which gains you profit and health. Okay, and then profit is 10% critical chance and critical damage per stack, max 50% to the end of battle. I get it. So you give them extortion. They want to have to use it. That way you don't get the extortion back and turn it into the profit, which is like a buff. Interesting. It's to the end of battle, not to the end of the round. So because of that, the stacking will work in between cross phases and raids. So let's move on to the special motivate. Dispel all buffs on target enemy and increase their cooldowns by 1, which can't be evaded. Okay, so it's like a nihilist drain. Interesting. If the target had extortion, call all other separatist allies to assist. That seems very good. And the reason it is you put extortion on somebody, you drain them, you reduce their cooldowns, and then you mass assist. And people like Droidica do insane damage. This is really interesting. I'm starting to like it. I'm wondering if it's going to trigger. You know, I'm not an expert in droids, but I'm wondering if it's going to trigger like B1's assist and stuff too. We'll have to see, for multiple style of attacks. Okay, let's see what the leadership ability is. Let's keep going. Back room. I'm not even going to try. Separatist allies have plus 15% speed and potency for each enemy with extortion. Plus 15% speed. Wow. Okay, I don't know about you guys, but I don't know how many times you see a plus percentage speed mechanic. That is huge. Okay, that plus 15% speed, to give you an idea, that's a mod set bonus right there. And potency for each enemy with extortion. Wow. While Nute Gunray is alive, each enemy that ends their turn with extortion dispels their own buffs and grants extortion to another random enemy that doesn't have it. This is almost akin to Plague with the Night Sister. I really like this mechanic. This is very cool. So if they don't get rid of the extortion, then somebody else is going to have it. I think that this right there, that's a cool move. I like that CG. That's very unique. It fits the theme of Nute. I think they're nailing these reworks. Personally, I'm a fan. I'm liking this. Okay, unique Viceroy's Reach. So he has a unique now, and this is all completely new. I mean, his rework is basically a complete new character. Whenever a separatist ally inflicts a debuff, they also deal 5% max health damage to that enemy, which can't be evaded. And enemies with extortion have minus 30% speed and offense. Okay, the first time Nute Gunray is defeated, he is revived with 100% health and turn meter. Every time Nute Gunray is revived, he's stealth for 2 turns. Wow. Okay, so not only that, but each time he's revived. So if you have a reviving character akin to like Visa Mars, for instance, he will be stealthed every time. That's very interesting. The other thing is it's 100% turn meter. It's not a bonus turn. So when you revive him, if the enemy has 100% turn meter too, you're still coin flipping who gets to go next. So let's reread the first part of this unique. Whenever a separatist ally inflicts a debuff, they also deal 5% max health damage to the enemy, which can't be evaded. And enemies with extortion have minus 30% speed and offense. 30%. Wow. So you have stacking speed percentage on your side, minus speed percentage on their side, and offense. It seems very good, honestly. I'll be real. I don't think there's a way I can look at this kit and just say, yes, it's going to be Darth Revan, yes, it's going to be Padme, anything like that. The only thing I'm going to be able to do by looking at this kit is saying this seems very strong. Testing will be needed. It seems very unique. It has the potential for me to think that's completely busted, but, it could look completely busted and be complete garbage, okay? So stuff like this needs testing. I have B2, I have Droidica, I almost have B1, I have Grievous. I'll get Nute, I'll test this out. This is really interesting, but I'm going to wrap this up and say, I'm gonna do a few points here. First, let's go over Count Dooku. I think Count Dooku's rework is interesting. I think it adds viability to him. I think it was a good job by CG. I think it thematically is correct. I think looking at Nute Gunray, I'm thinking very much the same thing. It's basically a complete rework. I'm loving the reduced cooldown aspect of it. I'm loving the fact that he's kind of a supportive, debuffer, buffer on you, but makes people work around unique mechanic. I think that's excellent when characters have a thematic, unique mechanic that fits them, like C-3PO with translation, for instance. I really like this kit a lot. I think this was a fantastic implementation. I won't know without further testing whether it's going to be busted, but just looking at this, normally when you have percentage speed, that's very good. And the fact that they have negative percentage speed seems very good. Right off the bat, I would say you probably are going to want hard hitters because you are calling everyone in assist. So I would think people like Droidica. You're probably going to want B2 on the team because max percent health. Every time you do debuffs, you're going to want to buff immunity on them, cleanse them, do that. So I'm liking this a lot. I think it was a great kit. I'm gonna give this like an 8 out of 10 for a rework. I'm really quite a fan of this one. So double thumbs up for Count Dooku and Nute. I'm very excited.